Guest is the city manager of the city of Jackson, Jonathan Greene. Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, Bart. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to be seen.
I've seen you a lot lately. You had a busy week last week. Aaron Dimmick was here yesterday in the morning, and we were talking about, well, he had a couple of disasters in 1 week, the, the fire and the storm.
Yeah, city staff across the board were busy last week. And starting off with the fire on North Street, and a lot of credit needs to be given to our newly installed Deputy Fire Chief, Tim Gonzalez, and his coordination, his command of the scene, coordinating with nearly every fire department in the county, and then even outside the county in Chelsea. It was, a lot of people were focused on the fire, rightly so. As you can see on the screen, that's pretty intense. I got to step back and I got to watch Tim really handle everything in a very calm, cool, collected manner. And I'm just so proud that he took over for Dave Wooden, and I know that, he's going to be the leader of our department over there until he says he no longer wants it.
This is his dream job. He grew up in Jackson. This was his aspiration to.
Yeah, and I'm sure as firefighters, something like that is, they know that that's a part of their job, and probably to a certain extent, that's one of the more exciting parts of the job. It's also very dangerous. But to see Tim do what he did that day with the help of all the other fire departments, other leaders on scene, coordinating, communicating, keeping everybody safe, and then getting the fire out. Obviously number one, but staying safe, and I'm just very proud of how that day went.
I was amazed and really glad to see how well all our departments work together. There's really a camaraderie among the brotherhood of firefighters, and it's really demonstrated when in times of crisis.
It is, and that's why we have them, and that's why they're there, and very proud to have great professional firefighters here in the city of Jackson. And then you follow that up with the storm, which in the county was a little interesting. Not everyone in the county received the same amount of damage, but the city and westward certainly did. And we're still dealing with some of the issues from that. Still some down limbs with power lines going through them. I inquired this morning. I noticed that there's still a street that wasn't reopened. I said, "Hey guys, what's up with this?" And there must be power lines through it. And lo and behold, there's still power lines through it, live power lines through it.
Today?
Yes, so they were drooping down from the utility pole down onto the ground and then back up to a house. Still live, so I think that just kind of fell off people's radar. As long as they had power, no one was going to say anything. So I just said, "Geez, guys, we got to fix this." It's been a minute, so let's clear these things up. And coordinating that is another thing in and of itself, with different utilities, different personnel coming in, not necessarily knowing what needs to be done, who's doing what. So give a lot of credit to our DPW, Mike Osborne, Tim Pickett, Randy Liebarger for performing well and having our crews do well in the aftermath of that.
Yeah, I know that the governor declared disaster areas in actually 2 more counties today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Kent and one other near there. But those are counties and communities that didn't have enough resources to recover, and they're asking for state help.
Yeah, and thankfully, we had our damage here for sure, and it put a lot of people out of power. It damaged homes, damaged property, otherwise cars, things like that. But we've had our fair share of direct hits in the past, and I would call this one a glancing blow. Not without its issues, but definitely not some of the ones we've had in the past.
Yeah, and we were talking the other day about the fire being at an abandoned building, and we have a lot of those structures. Every community does, but they can become dangerous. Obviously fires, but so many other things can go wrong. What are the responsibilities of property owners on buildings that are unoccupied?
The same with an occupied building. They're keep it secure, keep it safe. and keep from riffraff happening on their private property. A lot of times we're called to deal with people who have broken into a property. The one where the fire was no different. I think when I was talking with the crews on scene, one of the firefighters mentioned that they had just been there in July for a
really?
fire that didn't get as big. So, our property owners, you have to, if you're a property owner, you have to insure your investment. You have to make sure that you're protecting your investment. Whether it's occupied, whether it's dilapidated or otherwise, you still own it, and you need to accept that responsibility. It's no one else's but yours at that point.
Yeah, and if you can't or won't, then give it or sell it to somebody who will.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We had some good things happen in the last week. A new sculpture unveiled in the MLK roundabout.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool piece. Art is always subjective. You're gonna always, for one person who says something is awesome and they really like it, you'll find another person who says it's not their cup of tea. That's how art goes. But I think that sculpture in the roundabout, number one, when I see it, it fills the roundabout nicely. It's tall, it has stature, it has a presence to it, and even at night, as you can see in this picture that you took, thanks for sharing that with Aaron. I think we posted that on our social media. But you see it, and it's an entrance to the south side, but it also stands as you can tell, it's a beacon. As a beacon for the city of Jackson, of light and of positivity and for the future.
The artist is pretty highly regarded and well known in Chicago, and has done some pretty elaborate sculptures and works. And I think it was pretty cool. People have said, well, this sculptor wasn't from Jackson, but you had a competition, and you also do have Jackson's artists represented, but he was selected from, it was a competition, and he's also African American, and I know that was important for that particular sculpture location. But I think it's an honor for Jackson to have someone of that caliber have a piece here.
Yeah, I would agree, and that's what you're gonna get. For everything you think you're doing right, someone else has a different idea and opinion on things, and I think you're right. It's good in both ways. We do have Jackson artists represented in sculptures in the city of Jackson, but it's also good to invite new people and to make different connections. And I think this is exactly what we're doing with this one. And it was a process led by the Arts Commission and the Martin Luther King Corridor Improvement Authority with a joint committee. And so it's not like went without public input, and it's not like it went without a lot of eyes on what was going to happen.
It's really what you said. Those two sculptures, the improvements, are the first of much more that's intended for the neighborhood.
Yeah, we're really excited about what's going to happen on Martin Luther King from Morel down to the city limits at South Street. The city received a grant to redo the surface, so the streetscape and then the road from the Department of Transportation and the Federal Highway Administration. We're also looking to redo the underground infrastructure, just as you know very well, like we did in downtown with the Dig Downtown Jackson project, where we replaced the 100-plus-year-old water and sewer mains, and then dressed up, the streetscape. And I think, the evidence is outside right now. The amount of activity that you see in the core of our downtown, we can replicate it, and it can happen down on MLK. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yes, I don't think there's any argument that the actual physical reconstruction of Michigan Avenue downtown was the launch pad for the Renaissance. And as you said, it can, and you're hoping it will.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those things. If you remember, I was at the Downtown Development Authority and working for the city at that time. It's not pleasant to live through. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's going to be disruptive. People will have to drive in different patterns. The roads will be torn up for a long period of time. It will be inconvenient, and there's if anyone tries to tell someone otherwise, they're just lying.
Yeah.
What we can do, and we can apply the lessons learned from Dig Downtown and use them on MLK. I mean, that came with a massive marketing campaign and information campaign, and it helped shape how we do those big infrastructure projects. And we do the same things there, and we demonstrate that we're trying to better the community. We just need people to hang on tight. If we can get through it, we'll get through it together, and we'll all be better off for it.
Yeah, it's a big payoff. We have City Council person, Carol Bunnell, is leaving the council. I think she's moving, I believe.
Leaving the city.
The council then will appoint, what's the new?
Yeah, so the process changed with the Charter Review Committee. The last round they did that. City Council has 60 days after the effective date of her resignation to appoint somebody who lives in the 5th Ward. After that, there needs to be an election at the first general election that's available. So that doesn't include May elections or necessarily, I don't know if it necessarily includes a primary election that could happen, but an election needs to happen sooner rather than later, which is a big change from the way the charter used to be. So the people can actually have the opportunity to vote for a person into that seat.
So I would imagine the council is accepting applications or nominations or?
We don't have that process rounded out yet. Letters of interest, if we could email the manager's office or the mayor's office, we'll make sure we keep in contact with you, but we'll be talking. I'm sure it'll be a topic of conversation at the next council meeting is how we're going to roll out this process. Will there be interviews? Will there be an open call? Things like that. It's not the first time we've had to fill this 5th Ward seat in recent times.
It's a popular seat to fill.
It is. We just have to get out the old playbook, try to remember what went right, what went wrong the last time, make some improvements, and just get after it.
More housing is on the way. We have a development that got another approval step for Blackstone and Glick.
Yeah. This is another really exciting housing project in downtown. This is what we call workforce housing. This is the bread and butter of the population of Jackson. Talking about people who make, depending on the family size, up to $60,000 a year. A lot of service type jobs would qualify to live here based on the income levels. I think it's just another net positive for downtown and for the city in general. And
nearby neighbor to that building is still forward motion for the Hayes.
Still forward motion for the Hayes. Very positive on that. In fact, I've got some meetings and phone calls even for later today just to make sure everybody's still working like we should.
Good. Anything else?
Man, I think we covered it.
Right.
We could talk about street construction and road construction, and it's coming to an end, thankfully, in a lot of places. Man, that Fair Week was rough. We had 5 north and south streets closed off. 2 because of the railroad, and 3 because of the railroad, and 2 because of ongoing projects. So happy to have a couple of those back open again.
Yeah, and really, it was a 5-minute detour.
Yeah, it was a 5-minute detour. But it was yeah. Try saying that to the people who called my office. So just had to explain hey, this is the price of progress, and.
But
listen.
Those bridges are getting close to completion, and it'll be all beautiful when we're all done.
Yep.
Thanks for all the updates.
Hey, you're welcome, Bart. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our city manager, Jonathan Greene. We've got more to come on the show. We have